And now on YouTube, it's time for the Sound of Whoosic with JT and the Whotastic panel.
Hello everybody, welcome to Who's Views, and yes, it's the 61st anniversary of our favourite Time Lord this weekend. Yeah! Welcome everybody. 61 years old. Can you ever just imagine?
No.
Trying not to think about it.
It's great to see you all. Welcome to our latest edition of the Sound of Whoosic here on the channel. And today, a bit of fun for you all, because that's what we need. As you can see, I'm here with Third Dr. Ian and with George and with Michael, and I've got Emilio here. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hello, they're all saying hello. And yes, this one is our special show, the bestest Telly theme tune in the world ever. And that's what we're here to celebrate. Yes, it is.
How long did that take in the focus group to come up with that name? That's fantastic.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah, we can't play any of it, of course, because of all the copyright stuff.
No.
But you know the tune so well. We are celebrating 61 years tomorrow of this iconic tune that I would like to say is still going strong. But is it? We'll be soon finding out when we get all your comments. So it's great to see everybody. Are you up for this, guys? Are you ready for this one?
Absolutely. Do you know, it's funny, JT, I'm just pouring my coffee because it's a morning here. Yeah. When you look at that, you say you can't play it, but when you look at that graphic, you can hear it.
You can, can't you? And that's the magic of this.
Unfortunately, you can hear it all at once, so it gets a bit loud.
Oh my goodness, that bit. Let's use in the chat. Nice to see you all. Dosh, loads of money, says Stephen Braddock. That refers to a particular chat that we are going to be talking about in this. If you were with us earlier in the chat, you'll see I've dropped 2 specific links for you. Also on our Facebook page for the last couple of hours, I've also been dropping various links to various variations of a theme. So, you know, I hope
some more questionable than others.
Hey, Carwin Morris is with us. Carwin, nice to see you. I've emailed you. Not sure how interested you'll be with it. Been rushed today, so it was a last minute thing. Well, thank you, Carwin. Oh, I'm excited. I love getting an email. I do. So yeah, I will look at that after the show. So thank you so much for the emailing. If you do want to email us, you wonderful fandom out there, you can. It's whosviews1@gmail.com. Give us an email. Say hello. Send us pictures. Whatever you want to do. There's the email for you there. So that's great. Well, who else have we got here as well? Legion of James is on the ball here, guys. Downloaded a few remixes today to listen to in the background whilst watching the show.
Marvelous.
That's what I like to hear.
Marvelous.
Yeah.
And I hope Legion of James's puppy is feeling a bit better. He's got a poorly dog.
He has, hasn't he? Yeah. It's not robotic though. No, but yeah, nice to see you, Legion James. We've got Bill Lowry. We've got Michael Hughes here with us, and Dalek I is with us with that dum de dum de dum de dum de dum bit. We can't even sing that bit in case we get some right. Dalek I, you were there at the very beginning back in '63. What effect did this infamous, well, famous? No, come on. What effect did this world famous tune have on you back then? Let us know. Julianne is with us. Hello, Julianne. Nice to see you. And so Legion of James has just stood on something.
Probably a piece of Lego.
Paul Stanford, hello to you, mate. Nice to see you. Good evening, everyone. I hope we're all keeping ourselves nice and warm, just about. And he's agreeing that it is the best theme tune in the world. We've got another Paul with us. That's 2 so far. Paul Baker saying evening all. And Rose Kirby is saying to us, hello, everyone. Hoping everybody is nice and warm and cozy. That's good to know, isn't it? So thank you for that. Yeah, our Paul can't be with us today because he's working, guys. He's working.
Outrageous.
Working.
Where's his commitment?
I know, it's outrageous because he's got to go and work. Right, so listen, let's get on with the show then. Nice to see you all. We are looking at the bestest Telly theme tune in the world ever. And let's start right at the very beginning. And let's just for a few minutes talk about this chap. The one and only Mr. Ron Grainer. Who else? We couldn't start without anybody else, could we, gentlemen? But here he is, the genius behind this, even though I believe as of course I never got to meet him. I believe he was quite modest about this, saying, yeah, he just piped it out in the middle of whatever, George.
Well, yeah, he said he wrote the notes, but the actual theme tune, the way it was realised, all credit should go to Delia Derbyshire.
Very generous of him, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Really, really nice of him.
Yeah, he said all he did was write the notes, and she took it to the level that it went to,
which was stellar, absolutely stellar, as we all know. But he was brilliant because he'd been around for he did so many theme tunes and so many classics that are still known today.
Steptoe,
yeah, Man in a Suitcase.
Tales of the Unexpected was one of them.
Tales of the Unexpected. Yeah. Do you remember in the 90s as well when Man in a Suitcase became huge again thanks to Chris Evans?
No.
Do you remember? Because he used it for he used it for the Friday night show, didn't he?
All right.
Yeah, for that live show. What was it called? I was at two of them and I can't remember what it was called, but there you go.
TFI Friday.
TFI Friday. Well, thank you. Yeah, he used it, and that brought Ron Grainer back to the fore again. But
it should be said too, Ron Grainer was Australian, was he not?
He was, yes.
I think so, yeah.
There you go.
JT, we may not have real money, but we've got real composers.
Monopoly money over there, Monopoly money.
As was the other great Doctor Who composer, Dudley Simpson.
That's right.
Yeah,
and so was Kevin Lindsay.
Yeah, okay, that's enough of that now. Thank you. I'm going on a whole roll call, Kylie. Anyway, so what have we got? Ron Grainer. Huge thank you. I wonder if he could ever just imagine that how his tunes live on, especially this one, everyone. 61 years later, and we're talking about it right now here on Who's Views. Isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
What a man.
He visited a friend of mine at school. Bless you. He visited a friend of mine's school one day to talk about music. They were studying music, and he came as a visitor. And,
really?
Told them all about it. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Nothing more. I can't tell you anything more. That's it.
Okay, that's fine. We've got here from Mark Greaves, Ron Grainer, iconic, isn't it just? And Michael saying, Ron Grainer, thank you for this theme. Absolutely. Mark is also saying to us, my boss wanted me to work overtime tonight, but I said it's Who's View special. He said, what? I replied, if you know, you know. Why didn't you get him to subscribe? That's how we do it, isn't it, Emilio?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, don't work overtime. Watch Who's Views.
Just walk around with
everyone.
Walk around with a QR code and show people.
It's available. It is available. All right, everyone, says Noel Thrill. Hello, Noel. Nice to see you. And we've also got here, if this is going to work, Dalek I am answering me here saying this theme has had such an influence on me. It was so different from anything I had heard before, and I have a great interest in electronic music ever since. Love it. That's fantastic.
I hear you.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I honestly do think that the Doctor Who theme got a lot of us going into what's this about, and learning more about electronic music, because we were ready for the 80s. Let's face it, everyone. Absolutely fantastic.
I've often wondered what would the theme sound like had they just got a conventional orchestra to play those notes. Wonder.
Well, we know.
Probably like it sounds now.
I could direct you to a Jeff Love LP.
There you go. I'll just set them up and you knock them down. There we go.
You did though, didn't you? And which one did you mention there, George?
Jeff Love.
The Jeff Love. Big shout out to Paul, who can't be with us, as I say, because he's working. That's his favourite one, apparently. He said to me, make sure you mention Jeff Love, but we will. We'll come back to it later, Paul. I guarantee you. Delia Derbyshire was an absolute genius, as Paul Stenford, creating captivating electronic music before the advent of electronic synthesizers. And it makes you think, what? She was a genius. How the hell did she do that?
She's incredible.
Actually, just jumping back to Jeff Love, something's just stirred in my memory. Am I right in saying that the first ever commercially released version of the Doctor Who theme was an orchestral cover version by one of the famous conductors and his orchestra of the day? And then the BBC version on Decca Records didn't come out till a few months after.
I think you are. And I think it's because it was a lovely case of actually sort of great minds thinking alike at that bit. But I also think, allegedly, I think it was stopped very quickly because they were bringing their version out.
Was it the conductor? Was it somebody Winston?
I haven't got that.
Or Winston somebody?
I didn't write that.
The first version available was a cover version.
Yeah.
Was the first official release the stereo version from 72?
No, it was released as a mono single by
It
Decca.
was.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Decca were a great label for the BBC back in the
Yes.
day as well. They
Mm.
did an awful lot.
Yeah. Which is the version that's used on the Pescatons.
The Pescatons, because they had it in stock as it
Yeah.
were. So that's how it all works. We've reviewed the Pescatons here on the Sound of Music on Who's Views. It's all on the playlist. See what I did there? Anyway, yes, so here we are. We are going to be celebrating this, the bestest Telly theme tune in the world ever, everybody. And believe it or not, there have been more versions of our beloved theme on Doctor Who, on the telly, than you may think. Yes, you would think that there have been just this many. Here we've got Delia Derbyshire, we've got Peter Howell, we've got Dominic Glynn, we've got Kev McCulloch, we've got John Debney, and of course we've got Murray Gold. So you would think, okay, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. But there have actually been 20 different variants of our theme tune on the television. 20, count them, 20. And that's all because Mr. Murray Gold doesn't seem to be content with them and keeps twisting and turning and playing with them. Yeah. Murray, will you knock it off? Choose one and get on with it, for heaven's sake.
He's the George Lucas of the Doctor Who theme.
He is, isn't he? He really is. Just mention about Ron Grainer. About 3 or 4 years ago, I was driving through York and I had the local radio station on, and they had this competition. And it was what connection was there between Doctor Who, Steptoe and Son, I think The Prisoner, Paul Temple, and Edward and Mrs. Simpson. And of course, it was Ron Grainer. And you know, you shout, you're driving, so you can't do anything, but you're shouting at the radio.
On the window down.
And
Ron Grainer.
This guy won, and he won because he'd said Roy Granger. And I was outraged. I was absolutely outraged. And, you know, you don't want to be outraged when you're driving.
No, you don't.
Dear me. Roy Granger, who the hell?
Yeah, but could the call have just been from the home counties?
I would have said, no, you're wrong, and hung up and got somebody else on that knows the right answer. Paleo Clive, 1684, nice to see you. Don't forget, Ron wrote the groovy theme tune to The Prisoner too. He was a talented Aussie bloke. Well, we couldn't forget that theme tune to The Prisoner, could we? And the Lady Knightsbridge is with us, gentlemen. All hail to the Lady Knightsbridge. And I don't know what she means by this. I heard somewhere it was Rachel Reeves that wrote the theme tune for Doctor Who.
Hilarious. She's not claimed it yet. Let's just say that. But she probably will.
Right. Wasn't she the first female Doctor Who as well, Emilio?
Yeah, she done everything. Everything.
Female
showrunner. She's done everything.
Yeah. Was this before or after she discovered temporal engineering?
If you're outside the UK right now, you won't know what we're talking about.
Say, a lot of this is going over my head.
It's been a very funny day. Put it that way, honestly.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, we might explain it, and then again, we might not.
Tell
It's
me
been
later on.
suggested that Delia couldn't remember making the theme tune due to having a little drinky or two over the weekend, says Bill Lowry. Has it really been suggested?
The best thing come when you've had a drink or two, you know. So,
that's true, yeah. What else we got here? Michael is telling me to stop messing about. No, it's not going to happen. And Mark Greaves is also saying, I'd find it impossible to believe if someone played this theme, you wouldn't have had anyone not knowing it was Doctor Who. It's that unique. It has to be world famous now, guys, hasn't it? It has to be a case that it's not just British people when they hear that tune or see an image, they hear the tune in their head. It has to be across the world now, surely.
Yeah.
I'd heard that you know, in the 70s, when you get those books coming out like The Making of Doctor Who and things like that, there was something in one of those books when talking about the music said that it was actually on the radio, it was used as the theme for a science show in Australia, but I don't know if that was true or not. But I saw it written 2 or 3 times in different places through the 70s. I probably played what the radio show was.
It was probably some ABC science show, and they probably played it because it was shown on the ABC.
Yeah, very probably. Dealer was a pioneer of electronic music, was not a fan of synthesizers, ironically. Says Dalek Eye. And hello to Pete. Pete is with us saying, I'm coming live and cold from a frozen Liverpool. Hello all. Well, it's good to see you, Pete. I hope you're keeping warm. Got a question here from Michael, everyone, as well, saying, can you see Hans Zimmer doing the Doctor Who theme?
Oh, man, that would be amazing.
Yeah, and the answer to that is strange. I don't know whether Michael and I will agree. And yes, I can very easily. I don't know about you guys.
Well, because he came from an electronic music. Was it Video Killed the Radio Star? He's the keyboardist in that.
He's also a Doctor Who fan, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Didn't he have something to do with a rather notorious charity record that didn't really
we
trouble
weren't
the
going to bring that
chart?
up. We weren't going to bring that up, George.
Possibly, allegedly, maybe. We won't talk about that one here in case he tries to get at us. Hans, we love you. I hope you are well.
But yeah, that would be an amazing rendition, and I reckon he would relish it like he did with the Bond theme.
Totally.
Yeah.
I can't imagine if he's a Doctor Who fan. I can't imagine he's never had a go and there's a recording somewhere.
Bound to
He
be.
must have done, mustn't he, when he's tinkering in the lab?
Yes.
Well,
trying tonight.
yes. Didn't David Arnold release his version of the Doctor Who theme at one point?
I don't know if he really. Oh, he did through the Bog Fanish stuff, didn't he? Wasn't it available through them?
Yeah. I like that version. I know we were jumping ahead, but I like that.
You can talk however you want to. That finish from David. I remember when that Storm Warning, wasn't it? Do you remember?
Yeah. I liked it.
Was it 99 or 2000, somewhere around
99.
So it must have been 2000, 2001 when McGann came along, and we were all quite excited, wasn't it? Because here's our new Doctor. Emilio, you won't know what we're talking about. Sorry, love. But, we had this stuff coming through, and I remember it popping through literally on a Monday. So I got home on the Monday, and there it is on my mat at home. And I thought, oh, great. Excited. Put the thing on. Gareth Thomas was in it as well. Do you remember? Blake. Anyway, I put this thing on, and that theme tune, I went, what? You're kidding?
You didn't like it? You didn't like it?
It grew on me.
I loved it. As soon as I heard it, I loved it. I thought, I love David Arnold, because he Bond work. And I just thought, oh, this is inspired. Apparently he did that as a favor for Mark Gatiss.
Oh, right. Wow. Okay. Well, good for him. But I don't know about you guys, but it took me a while to get used to it.
It's got the mystery. Yeah. It's got the mystery. I love the mystery about it. It's understated.
Really?
No, just me? Okay.
Yes, that killed the conversation stone dead.
It wasn't a showstopper, but it sure slowed things down.
But that's known as the Paul McGann theme now, isn't it? Thanks to the efforts of Bog Fanish. Yeah. We're not getting very well on this one, are we?
Delia Derbyshire.
John is asking us, I'm running late. Have I missed much? No, we've just been waffling. We haven't even started yet, mate. We haven't even got to my
We've not got past Delia Derbyshire.
No, we haven't got that yet. But thank you for the going with us. And Mark is saying to us, forgive my lack of knowledge, but I used to think that they only changed the theme when they changed the Doctor. Possibly in your modern Doctor Who with Amelia down here. But no, that's not true at all, is it, guys?
No. Well, there's Delia Derbyshire version, and then there's the Delia Derbyshire version. Yeah. There's about 4 different versions of her just on telly, and they're all. Sorry, George.
I would say the version that ran from the Macra through to Sharda. That was tweaked several times during its run.
Exactly. I love the Pat Troughton version that goes. The build up to the ooey-oos is just a little bit longer.
Yeah.
You think, the ooey is going to come in now, and then it just keeps going and builds up. I love that. Which Pertwee not Pertwee himself, but Pertwee's production used a little bit in his second season. Ian, was it?
Yeah.
But then there's the Pertwee version, the general Pertwee version, which has this weird little stutter before it starts.
Yeah.
This is why, everybody, we've got 20 variations of the broadcast Doctor Who theme. And I just want to say hello and welcome to Julie Wendy. Ron wrote the great theme tune for Man in the Suitcase. He absolutely did. Lovely to see you, Wendy. Julie, nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. So go on, George.
I was going to say, and then there's the further variations in Ambassadors of Death where the opening titles were split.
Yeah.
And the sting that was used on the second half of the titles is different on every episode.
Yes.
I like it. It really is. It really is. Well, I can tell you, if you have been following us here on Who's Views, you'll know already that we've listed 20 variants of our favorite theme tune that have been broadcast on BBC One. I'm going to say it again. I can't get over it. 20 variations, Emilio. Are you not shocked? Why are you still sitting on your chair? You should be falling off it right now. There have been 20 variants of it. Now, we did a poll on our community tab there where we listed them. And what we've got here It's the 1963 to 66 one by Delia Derbyshire, 1967 to 79 by Delia Derbyshire, 1980 to 85 by Peter Howell, 1986 Dominic Glynn, 1987 to 89 Kev McCulloch. We've also got 1972, the Delia Derbyshire Paddy King from Delaware version. And then we've also got in 1996, the John Debney TV movie. And then it all goes sort of weird. Because then in 2004, we get a snippet of one on the trailer. Do you know those infamous trailers with Eccleston and Billy? There's a different tune on those trailers. It's sort of wobbly. That's
like underwater.
Yes. So that was it. And then in 2005, we got a version. Then we got 2005 to 2007. Then we got another one in 2007. Then we got another one in 2008 to 2010. 2010 to 12, 2012 to 13, 2013 we got another version, 2014 to 17. In 2015 we got another version. We got the rock version from one of Capaldi's. 2018 to 2022, enter Sagan Akinola. In 2021 he did a Murray Gold and did a different version for something called Village of the Angels. And then we've got Murray Gold back from 2023 to the present day. We asked you which one was your favorite.
There's news coming through, JT. They've just released a new version of the Doctor Who themes available now on the YouTube channel.
Well, I'm hearing that it may have been tweaked again for the 2025 series, but that's just a rumor. However, we asked you which your favorite was. You voted, so thank you very much if you voted for all that. We got you down to the final few as well. After that, it went through to round 2 in the final few. You have voted for that. Polls closed at 5 o'clock this very evening, and we will be announcing the winner of the Who's Views bestest Telly theme tune in the world ever, viewer's choice in this show. Yes.
What do they win?
For it. What do they win? Nothing. Anyway, we've got Legion of James here with us as well. My eternal gratitude. What did everyone think of the variation theme for John Pertwee intended to be used in Australia? And we were given a taster of it on the DVD for Carnival of Monsters. All right, then, guys, so let it rip.
All right, may I?
Go ahead,
as the token Australian here, we need representation. That actually wasn't intended for it. It was used in Australia. I remember listening to it, watching the show, and this theme tune came on, and I thought they've changed the theme. What have they done? But then it went back the following week, and then it was years later I realized, that was only sold to Australia. So we had to endure it.
So
I wasn't a fan, I must admit.
I think Barry Letts came to his senses just in time and pulled it.
Yeah.
Because
it was a bad idea when he heard one.
Yeah, it was compared to what it was replacing. It was such a weak rendition of the theme tune, and it really took it down so many notches. It did go out on British TV. Apparently, there was a trailer for the Three Doctors, and apparently it was used on the trailer.
That's interesting.
It's an interesting footnote, at least, but glad it didn't go any further.
And then the Pertwee Years videotape, it was featured on that, and I think that's the first time it sort of got released into the wild in a big way.
Yeah, absolutely. Emilio, do you know what we're talking about at this point?
Absolutely no idea. I've never heard of the fact that I didn't know that it was kind of like a different.
So there's about 3 episodes in Frontier in Space with a new theme tune, and it only went to Australia. And how many episodes was it? 3 or?
And I think there was an episode of Carnival of Monsters that had it as well, because it
was Carnival of Monsters.
Yeah, the UK video release of Carnival of Monsters used the Australian master, which kept the Delaware version.
That's right.
I'm sure it's available on either the DVDs or the Blu-rays, isn't it?
So it's widely available now.
Yeah, sadly.
But one for completists.
You're not missing much, Emilio. You're not missing much.
Personally, I'm not a fan of when they do the kind of like one-off, like slight variation on the existing theme. I'm just not a fan of it. I wasn't a fan when they did it for Capaldi. I think it's Under the Lake or Before the Flood. Two-parter where it's like the guitar theme. I just think it just like a kid in a toy box getting too high on whatever they're doing. I just think they should just like if it works, don't change it. Don't mess around with it. I think consistency for a theme is actually quite important. I think if you start playing around with it too much, it's almost like you don't know what you're going to get each week in terms of Doctor Who. The minute you start playing around with it personally, not a fan. I also wasn't a fan when they did it in 20 in Series 7 Part 2 with Matt Smith, Jenna Coleman. They changed the theme just for that half of the series, and then it would just would have preferred if they just kept Matt Smith's original theme throughout. Basically, have some consistency.
But they messed with the graphics as well, didn't they?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they did. Yeah, they completely changed that one. Yeah. It was just weird. It was just like, I think people do also associate the image of the theme when you're watching it with the Doctor that's on screen, and so I think it should be the case generally that the theme that you're watching and listening to should pretty much be the same throughout a Doctor's run, because I think people do link naturally. They'll link the two and two together. So yeah, I know that sometimes the theme does go over more than one Doctor, and that has happened. But yeah, personally, keep it the same.
Sorry, Michael. It's interesting you're saying that, Emilio, because that's why the Doctor Who theme has become iconic. Because the original theme, with slight adjustments, of course, ran from 1963 to 1979. So, an incredible amount of kids in Britain grew up with that theme tune. I remember it being very special. We talked about the original Blackpool exhibition a lot on Who's Views. But one of my endearing memories is always going to Blackpool back in the 70s and hearing that tune blaring out from the exhibition across the sand, across the front of Blackpool. You could hear it for miles off, and getting that feeling here. Just go,
it must have driven the staff of the exhibition
crazy.
Absolutely crazy, because it was on a loop from the moment the exhibition opened to the moment it closed every day.
It was, absolutely.
But it's funny to say, because I always associate the theme single that the BBC put out with the Blackpool exhibition, because the copies I've got, that's where I got them from.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
My mind always goes straight to the Blackpool exhibition when I think of the theme, particularly the single version, because on the middle eight they added the TARDIS takeoff sound effect.
Yeah, that's amazing. That is, and that's the one they took to Doctor Who the music as well. That version there, and then they eventually dropped it because fans were saying, "Can you take it out?" But it's one of those things, really, isn't it? But I mean, that was Saturday night television, and that, ties in with your point there. It was a theme because it was an early form of branding, and that was the Doctor's theme.
Yeah,
we didn't need a Doctor's theme when the show came back, because you already had one,
and it's referred to as a signature tune, so it should stay consistent.
Yeah. We've got lots of you joining us in the chat this evening. It's lovely to see you. This is the start of our weekend celebrating 61 years of our favourite Time Lord. Nibbles is with us saying, "Evening all. The 67 version is my favourite. Orbital is a close second. I'd love a John Carpenter version of the theme tune." Orbital, very famous Orbital there. Wow. I still get goosebumps when I see that clip of Matt Smith joining them back at Glasgow all those years ago, and actually being... and everybody's going,
That's when I knew we'd entered an alternate reality, when Doctor
because the show was huge, and there it was at Glasgow with all these people and knew what I mean. Gosh, it's amazing, isn't it? And Pete Saints was Orbital. I like they're very trippy in time and space. Have you heard this one, guys? Have you heard the theme from Orbital?
Oh God, yeah.
I probably have somewhere along the line, but it's not one that springs to the front of my mind.
It was used in the 40th anniversary trailer on the DVDs, George.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Then, I'm familiar with it. Then, I know the one.
Yeah, it was. And that was a great one, that one as well, because somehow they managed to get it to great work from the people who did that, because they got the tune, Orbital's version of the tune, hitting the images.
Yeah.
It was just beautifully done. Absolutely fantastic.
Along those lines, I think one of the things about the theme is, has there ever been a more perfect marriage of sound and picture than the Doctor Who opening titles with the theme?
Absolutely.
I mean, particularly for me, the Tom Baker titles, where for half a second you get a totally black screen and then the vortex starts. It's just such a perfect. That to me is the very epitome of Doctor Who.
That there, look at that. Can we just take a moment? Look at that. Isn't that fantastic? Okay, back to you, Jesse.
That is an image, though, isn't it? Really, I mean, that whole time tunnel thing. Obviously introduced in '74 for Pertwee, and then it went right through with the adjustment to 79. How many of us grew up with those iconic titles? And how many times have they now been tried to be recreate them and failed incredibly?
And it was decades down the line when I was watching episode one time, looking at the titles, and I just suddenly thought, my God, the TARDIS has got an absolutely enormous lamp on its roof.
Oh, thank God he said that. Stony ground there for a minute.
I mean, if you put that image back up,
you
know, that's a roof lamp on steroids. It really is.
It really is, isn't it? Whenever they try and do the titles now and recreate that tunnel, you're right, they always fail. But they always try and superimpose like a Star Trek Starfield in it, don't they? And it never needed that. I mean, I love the Tom Baker titles that we've just looked at, but for me, it is the version that was Pertwee's final season.
Me too. Yeah, it's my favorite.
Just bang on.
That opening.
It was so stunningly different at the time as well. It was just, my God, what am I watching? You know, you'd got used to that swirly start that he'd always had. And then you got this, and it was like, you know, that's... I mean, the start of it, before the top left one, before the colour bits come in, where it's just the white dashes, that was almost like what Star Trek used in 79 for the Enterprise going into warp, you know, and Doctor Who did it 5 years sooner, you know, and better.
Totally agree.
Now gorgeous. The image on the bottom left, that part of the Pertwee title sequence, where you've got the time tunnel in the shape of his full shot body shot there. One thing that's always intrigued me about that is if you look at the Radio Times 10th Anniversary magazine, where you've got the strip of frames from the opening title sequence, the color of it is a very vivid emerald green and not the muted blue that's on all the video and DVD versions.
Wow.
And I'm wondering if it just got changed, and when season 11 finally rolls round on Blu-ray, will we see it in the colours that the Radio Times actually printed?
Maybe.
I kind of hope not.
I don't know.
Oh, no. I mean, if you look at the photos where it's this really vivid emerald green, it looks stunning.
Well, that's very in vogue right now, isn't it? Really. But yeah, talking of the 10th anniversary special, everybody, we're back tomorrow here on the channel with our Anniversary Legends show. We're going to be looking at things like that. Yes. So join us tomorrow. Make a date with us tomorrow live at 8. But you're right, though. I mean, the visuals always went with this. I mean, we're talking about the time tunnel effect there. That music for me is still iconic. It's still my personal favorite. You know, the one I grew up with, because it always had those little bits of the sound effect. You know, I love all that stuff.
And the spangly sound they brought in the 60s, late 60s, that spangly.
Yes.
How do you describe that, George?
Yeah. I mean, going back to the Tom Baker times, the scene where you get the portrait shot of Tom and he just sort of, for want of a better word, melts into existence. It starts as a negative, then goes to a positive. You get those electronic burbles. It's like crescendo as he appears. It's just fantastic.
I used to listen to that section of the theme tune as a kid over and over again. I just love that little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I watch it now and still get that. When I watch the DVDs or the Blu-rays now, Emilio, and I see that theme and the Tom Baker theme there, which I lived with all those years, as we all did. I get that feeling coming back. I just go, ooh, because I remember waiting for Grandstand to get off because that was rubbish. I remember waiting for the news to get off because that was rubbish. I even had to get through things occasionally like Basil Brush. Yeah, get off, Basil. It depended on what we were. But I think, hello, Adrian. Nice to see you, Adrian. Thanks everybody for coming and joining us in the chat. Stephen Braddock saying to us here, when I was younger, the theme tune was so eerie and scary. I used to hide on the stairs when I was a young'un.
So did my dad. Yeah, I remember him telling me when we must have been, it was in the Tom Baker years, but he used to get the crap out of him, and that actually what got him into watching Doctor Who. Was just when it came on, it made the theme tune itself made him hide behind the sofa. So I obviously when I went back to watch it as a kid, when he showed me it, I think you don't find. I was like, why did you find that scary? But I can probably appreciate it more now
because there was nothing like it, Emilio.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like it.
Yes. There was. You're right, JT. There was absolutely nothing like it on TV at all. It was one of a kind.
It really was. I mean, that theme tune. Problem being is with us. Hello, mate. How are you? Thanks for being there. Delia hated the BBC making her update the theme. The tape started to warp and wear over time. Every time she had to re-edit it, hence the wobble. Oh, that's interesting, isn't it? That's a nice little fact. And Paleo Clive 1684, Kraftwerk could knock out an efficient version. I'd buy a 25-minute program Who theme by Mike Oldfield. Well, there's a name. Because
I think there should be one big competition of composers. Go and have fun with the Doctor Who theme tune. Show what you got. Get John Williams on it. Get Hans Zimmer. Get them all doing it. It'd be just for fun. It'd be interesting to hear their tape.
It's a shame John Barry's no longer with us.
George, I got a feeling you and I could talk for hours about John Barry.
Well, we could. You never know. Bill is saying, "Oh bugger, I missed the second round of voting." Well, tough boobies. We've also got Aaron Sutherland saying to us here, plus Doctor Who variations on the theme CD.
The world's first square CD.
Which none of us can bloody play. What was that about? I just don't understand it at all.
I've got the LP there. I've got the nice little gold foil LP, the limited edition one. I love it.
As I say, guys, we've got a lot of people joining us in the chat, all joining in with this lovely, lovely show. Digby, hello to Digby. I hated the Whittaker era version. That's interesting.
You could take the word version off that, couldn't you? Just take the word version off that and leave it.
Yeah, I've listened to it. But go on, Emilio.
I'm going to say, I think I don't personally. I don't like anything of the Whittaker era, but I could at least appreciate for New Who it probably try to harken back to 1963 in terms of the visuals of the kind of theme tune. So I will give them a very, very small bit of credit for that. But I think it's probably the theme tune in New Who that probably sounds the least clean, if I could say that, because I think Doctor Who themes work best when they're not clean sounding, right? Because I always thought as a kid, the theme tune should really like represent the when the TARDIS lands, it's like it's very croaky. It's very. I think Doctor Who theme should kind of almost mirror the sound that not exactly the same, but should kind of mirror the TARDIS as it lands. It should be a bit kind of off, and sound shouldn't be so crisp and clean. I think for Doctor Who it works when it's a little bit like weird and kind of eerie and out there.
Analog,
that's it.
He won't know what analog is. He's too young.
Yes, he reads history books, don't you, Emilio?
Exactly. I've studied history.
He reads them. We write them. Digby is saying, wise words from you, Emilio. The theme tune should be constant. It helps anchor the show. It's not only that, is it, Digby? But my feeling was the theme tune was a way of entering into the Doctor's world, and that's why the Delia Derbyshire one we were talking about there was so strong, because we were literally going through the tunnel into the Doctor's adventures, into his world, and then we were coming back out at the end of it to take you back to reality. It just had that effect here with those titles and what have you. Amazing.
I mean, I vividly remember watching episode 1 of The Leisure Hive when it was first broadcast. And of course, the new opening titles, the new version of the theme tune, the new logo all burst onto the screen. And I just sat there and went, what the hell is
that? Was a shock.
That.
Did you really?
Yes.
Did you not like it, George?
No.
Oh, really?
No. To me, that just says generic 1980s sci-fi show. Both the titles and the theme music. It doesn't say Doctor Who. It doesn't say unique. It doesn't say this is one of a kind.
Did it not say being dragged into the 80s kicking and screaming?
No. It's horrible. No. I agree with George. I obviously I wasn't there when it was, but I think of all of them, it's the one that probably sound-wise irritates my ears the most.
Irritates your ears?
I think I agree with George. It kind of just comes across as any kind of other cheap sci-fi I know, and I'm sure that people that really love the electronics and the synths in it.
Keep calm, JT.
But personally, I'm with George, not a fan.
I mean,
JT and I are about to explode.
But the one thing I will say in its favour was it reinstated the middle 8 on the end titles.
It did.
You're all wrong. You're all wrong. Great. Wonderful.
How many of us were there at the time in the chat here? How many of us there? That shock, that absolute shock when we went back to watch BBC One and Doctor Who: The Leisure Hive episode 1. I think we were all in a state of, because I remember absolutely thinking, what have they done? And I was 10. What have they done?
Exactly my thought.
And then I can't remember who it was around me. It was my dad or my uncle. Someone was like, "Oh, they've turned it disco." But it was a shock. It was an absolute shock. But do you know what, George? It grew on me by the end of Meglos. And then, of course, I bought the single. And then I had it on all the time. And everybody was saying, "Get that rubbish off."
I absolutely, I mean, I love that version. I'm sorry, George. I love that. I absolutely love that version, and I think it's it's Delia and Peter Howell's version for me.
Well, certainly it is. I mean, the other thing I will say about the Peter Howell version, this is no attack on Peter Howell, but there was worse to come.
Oh, there was, yeah. We'll stay with talking about Peter Howell in a sec. We'll get what you guys are all saying about the 1980s version of the Doctor Who theme.
Yes.
Julianne is saying to us, listening to the Who theme on a loop has to be better than listening to Mariah Carey and all she wants for blinking Christmas on a loop for 10 hours a day in a shop for 2 months. Julianne, you're right. I don't know how you cope. I don't know how you cope. It's probably started for you already, hasn't it, now this week?
I would go on a Michael Douglas style falling down gun rampage if I was subjected to
that. Bernard Lodge for the titles, problem being, is giving big love to Bernard Lodge here as well. A mainstay of Doctor Who for all those years, of course. Yes. Pete Harrington is agreeing, saying, Time Warrior is burnt into my memory, and those titles with the new visuals, exciting times were ahead. And it's amazing how Bernard managed to get the titles fitting that established music as well, wasn't it?
And I think it's absolutely remarkable that those two sets of titles, Bernard Lodge created them with carrier bags.
Yeah, it's a great story. We must talk about that because it's absolutely great. Geordie boy, it is lovely to see you. How are you? So many 60s and 70s shows had memorable signature tunes. It's all added to the viewing of the show as an event. Today, it's either boring and or insipid. Well said. Well said. I do agree with that one. Legion of James, every time I'm watching Doctor Who, I get the same moans from my partner asking why I don't skip the titles and credits. I continue to ignore them, and I often turn it up. Quite right, too.
Yes.
Well, okay. Legion of James, hello. You need to get a new partner.
Yes. Allegedly. Don't listen to them.
Yes. I remember when BBC Video did the initial few Doctor Who videotapes, and for the first, was it about a dozen titles, they were re-edited into omnibus editions, and I was extremely miffed that the titles and the theme music had been cut from the releases. So yeah, I can certainly buy into that.
Problem being is given us a couple of comments here, guys. The BBC thought the theme was too scary back in the 60s and nearly didn't go out. The original version, written and composed by Ron Grainer, sounds completely different. And there's a Tube of Who video of it. And then he goes on to say, I love Howell's version. It's completely made using his voice through a vocoder and his synthesizer. I love the things, but remember when they were telling us how they made it and stuff like that back in the early 80s? Amazing.
There's a fantastic masterclass on it's from 1980 of Peter Howell walking through the different elements with his big tape deck and isolating the different elements, and he actually does the vocoder stuff live. It's fantastic. It's really interesting. I hope it's still on. It should be on YouTube somewhere.
The Whittaker era always sounded like poor reception on an old radio, says Digby Strawbridge. It's one of those that I don't, because I have never seen that era. I don't count it, so I don't count it. I'm sorry, but I don't. However, I have watched it. I listened to it because you can get it on the Tube of Who, don't you? And you can get those opening titles as well. What the hell was all that? It looks like, anyway, floating around. Yeah, and then I listened to it and I thought, Emilio, I know what you're saying, because it does sound as though they've tried to get it back to where it was, because it's totally different to Murray's.
Yes,
but then it's sort of
It's been Whittakered. Let's call it that.
Whittakered. Copyright. Whose views? Have you heard Audio Surf Doctor Who theme transdimensional mix by Hardwire, complete with Tom Baker vocalizations? You don't need to wait for Kraftwerk. Oh, Craig Dunlop. Thank you so much for that.
Hardwire does so many different versions, and they're brilliant.
Right. Oh God, there's more versions than there. Anybody? Gosh, we'll have to do that. I'll listen to that. Thank you for that, Craig. Great to see you, and cheers for the tip off there, Michael. JT, yes. It's a version of the Doctor Who theme with John Pertwee singing it.
Yes. I was just about to say, Michael, we haven't mentioned Mr. Pertwee's version of it yet.
Across the Void.
Yes. Yeah, be careful, don't sing it.
I'm just saying it. I'm just saying it. I'm not singing it.
Here he is.
Does anything conjure up Doctor Who more than metallic teeth start to grind?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right.
Here it is, everybody. In case you don't know what this is John Pertwee's hit single from back in the day, folks. Yes, this was in at number 84.
I got to say, when I first heard it, though, I loved it. I thought, it's John Pertwee. I'm with Ian on this. Anything he could read a telephone book, and I'd love it. But I thought it was great. It was mysterious.
Who is the Doctor? By John Pertwee. Here it is, here from Purple Records. Wonder what happened to them. Anyway, yes, look at that advert, everybody, from the tabloids back of the day. You could actually phone 016372589. Of course, I'll just add there 01 if you're outside London. 6372589. You could hear it. You could hear it now. I love the fact you could phone that number. Hear the record. Just go, hello, John. How are you?
Well, they used to have dial-a-disc, didn't they?
Yes.
They did, Ian. Yes, dial-a-disc. Emilio, this is a whole new world for you, isn't it, kid?
Yeah.
I'm learning a lot here.
Ring a number, and you could listen to a song per day, a hit record of the day, on loop, and you just dial.
No
people did. They rang it and listened to it on an old dial phone.
Yeah.
But wasn't Purple Records associated with Deep Purple, the band?
Yeah, it was their label.
Yeah, I mean that's
I say what happened to them.
That's a hell of an achievement, isn't it? Though, really. I mean, Pertwee being on that label.
And with them as well, it's a perfect fit, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
Do you not think Pertwee with them? Perfect. Yeah. You couldn't make that up, could you? It's absolutely stunning, and they must have loved him.
Oh yeah.
You know, just say, yeah, come on, let's get John Pertwee doing a record. Yeah, man, yeah.
Who did the instrumental? Did they do the music? Do we know?
No, it was a cover band, wasn't it, that did it with him? I'm sure. I've got it. I should have got it ready. I've got it over there somewhere. I should have got it ready. But that was it. Who is the Doctor? Famous. And of course, it didn't do that well, but it was famous. They reissued it. Was it the late 80s, I think it was? They reissued it. And we all went and got the reissue, Emilio. That's the version we've all got. If you've got the original one, look after it, please. Because it's just... This is what happened with music in the UK in the 70s. It was just pure. A lot of it was experimental and it was fun. There was a lot of the serious stuff, of course. Everything was out there, but Doctor Who fitted in, and the theme tune especially fitted in. And then we've got here, problem being is saying to us, I'm currently doing a mashup of Pertwee's I Am the Doctor with the KLF Doctor in the TARDIS. Now, I want to get to the KLF, if I may, because I love it, quite frankly. But this is the Time Lords, Doctor in the TARDIS, which got to #1 in the UK charts in 1988. That was the clips there on the right from their video. This sampled the Doctor Who theme tune with another tune. I don't think we're allowed to mention the artist, everybody.
No.
GG, and a big 70s glam rock disco tune from GG there.
There's evidence that somebody actually did build a Dalek using the Radio Times plans.
There it is there.
It still looks better than the Daleks with Whittaker.
Oh, they are
scathing. It looks like the Daleks eating too much.
They are scathing.
Carrying a lot.
For those of you who don't know, this is the Time Lords, and it was a #1 hit. And this, in turn, gave birth to one of the biggest of the time dance duos, the KLF. What time is love, everyone? Woo! I mean,
Justified and Ancient.
Justified and Ancient.
Yeah, I love Justified and Ancient.
These two were massive. I can't tell you how big they were. Every rave, every nightclub I went to, got into trouble there. But it was the KLF, the KLF, the KLF. And What Time Was Love was huge. Do you remember? It was and it all. And the thing is, George, they came out saying it was utter crap. The Doctor in the TARDIS, they didn't like it.
Yeah. But you've jumped ahead there, JT, and missed out an important milestone. You know, in the late 1970s, the Doctor Who theme was packing out the disco floors with Mankind.
I wasn't. We'll come to that. We'll come to that. But yeah, this was a continuation to show just how big the theme tune was to all of us in the UK here to have this, because the Time Lords got to number one. That was the first number one. But yeah, George is right. A decade before the Time Lords came about was this.
My God, that was when I heard that. I was horrified when I first heard that.
The Bee Gees let themselves go, didn't they? There.
It was great. It was really good that William Shatner decided to take part, though. That's
well. I trust we all purchased a copy, but the original master tapes of the Mankind version, and they did about 7 or 8 edits of it, were rediscovered and cleaned up and been reissued on CD.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You can actually also now, if you are very lucky, if you buy a 1960s compilation or for Emilio and others download, please don't do the downloads, hard copies only. Get your real stuff only. You can actually find the Mankind version of the Doctor Who theme on a lot of the 60s compilation.
Yes. Well,
it's amazing. It's amazing.
Some of us rushed out and bought the orange-coloured vinyl version.
It's a classic, everyone. God, actually, I forgot we can do that. Show that again, George. Show that again. Let's do that. There it is, everyone. Ooh, that's a big one.
Space lobotomy.
Fabulous, isn't it? Oh, I can't. I actually got it here somewhere. And I saw my notes somewhere that it didn't get to number one, but it did okay back in the day. It was in the top 10, definitely.
I think it hit the top 20.
Right. Yeah. Oh, here it is. Yes, it got to number 16.
Yes. And Mankind appeared on Top of the Pops a couple of times, and I think that's on YouTube as well.
I think it is. Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah.
So the link is also on our Facebook page, Who's Views on Facebook. I'll put the link for you later on. I'll put it on there for you. So we've got that. And we've also got KLF's video as well, the Time Lords video on there too.
I was with the KLF version, the Time Lord version. I've got to say that was a traumatic thing for me growing up because, of course, I don't know whether you guys got this, but because that was a mainstream hit, anytime at school somebody found out I was a Doctor Who fan, other than getting beaten up, I got Doctor. I can't sing it, but that people would sing it and berate me with it, you know, like because it was on the radio. So that one sticks in my side. That was that particular version. Yeah. Oh man, being a Doctor Who,
you get triggered. It comes on. No.
Yeah, you did not want to tell people you were a Doctor Who fan in the 80s, and you'd be in trouble. Yeah.
You know, on the Time Lords one, that is obviously a version of the theme, and it got to number one. I think it was there for a couple of weeks, wasn't it? But the B-side has 2 versions of the theme as well.
Yeah.
That also we need to include, really. And they weren't that bad, to be fair.
They were all right, weren't they?
Instrumentals, yeah. I quite liked them.
Yeah. I remember when the Time Lords one came out. It was the week before it got to number one. It was the highest shifting record in the United Kingdom. What did they used to call that on Top of the Pops? The highest mover or something like that. Do you remember? And it went up something like 150 million places because we all found out about it, and therefore we all went to buy it. And then the next week, these poor presenters on Top of the Pops were like, "Well, yeah, that's the highest selling single in Britain," all thinking you are all utter loons, you know. But I remember being quite proud because there was Sylvester McCoy on television in his second series, and this had come out. And I'm actually thinking, oh, you see, Doctor Who is popular, BBC. Take that. Yeah. Not take that the band, they hadn't been around yet, but actually just take that. You know. Robert Payne is saying to you all guys, I thought the new titles in the 80s was so futuristic. What did you think of the music, though? I mean, we're talking about the theme here. Peter Howell's music. Did you all like that?
Loved it.
In the chat. Oh yeah, and the guy.
Okay.
I know, George, you didn't like it, did you?
No. To me, it was just trying to be Buck Rogers.
Who?
No. Buck Rogers was trying to be Doctor Who. Let's be honest.
What, Buck who? No idea who that was. Julie Wendy is saying, loved the Peter Howell version. Thanks, Julie. Bagpuss was a great theme tune as well. Robert, get off. And Carwin Morris is saying, Carwin is saying, I have to show some love for the 1996 theme that starts with the middle eight. Ah, okay. Okay, let's talk about that version then as well, because if you must. Yeah, that's when I knew that things could go terribly wrong with the Doctor Who theme tune, personally, Carwin. Sorry, but I just hate the Doctor Who theme tune played by an orchestra. Sorry, Murray Gold fans, I don't like it. And maybe it's because I was brought up with the radiophonic version. And I do like the Peter Howell version, but I don't like an orchestra doing it. And we've had several versions now from Murray Gold, as I mentioned. And he tries to mix an orchestra in with the radiophonic stuff, doesn't he? And even that doesn't quite work for me. Do you know what I mean? It just...
And choirs.
I think it needs to be one or the other, personally. What do you think?
I think it's best being created by obscure instruments or methods, more a collection of noises, which is what Derbyshire was doing basically when she put that together. Minimal instruments, actually just noises and effects, which she was so good at. I have to confess a liking at the time, because we'd been a few years without anything, and I confessed a liking.
Yeah, it was something, wasn't it?
Yeah, for the McGann movie. I've got to be honest. And I was one of those sad people that got $30 from the exchange and sent them off to America in the hope that the CD would come through, and it did, and listened to it properly and everything. It was a decent soundtrack album, to be fair.
Yeah, it is. It's a good album. Yeah.
I don't like the Murray Gold ones. They are way too orchestral, way too loud. But then all the incidental music's too loud. But it does drown out the crappy dialogue, which is a positive. But I don't mind the McGann orchestral one at all, to be fair.
Do you know? I don't like that plinky plonky piano bit.
Yeah.
Just get a little bit too twinkly.
I like the key change.
Did you?
That was the only, I didn't mind that bit. But
I think the McGann one should be like almost, because it was a movie, right? So it's going to be a little bit more kind of cinematic than the original, the normal So I think maybe also you have to kind of take into consideration the format and the fact that it was a one-off movie, and it could be slightly different to maybe how it would have been had they've actually gone on what they planned to, which is to have a kind of a series that ran afterwards. I would imagine I wouldn't be surprised had that have happened if they would have changed it. I'm not a massive fan of the 1996 theme myself, but I can kind of give it a pass a little bit.
Well, I love the way that Emilio is trying to be very positive about that. I love that. That's really, really good. And then ends with the fact, but I do think it's rubbish. I love it. Fantastic. Well done, you. Nibbles is saying to us, I've got the Mankind version on vinyl. Never mind.
I agree with Ian on the TV movie theme. I thought the version that went out with Sylvester McCoy, both the theme music and the titles, were absolutely dismal. I thought they were appalling. And I remember watching the Paul McGann movie when it was first broadcast and thinking, well, at least it's heading back in the right direction.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And that came after. Oh,
no, sir. No, go ahead. No, please.
No, I was just going to read something out.
I was just going to say, you're all going to hate me. I actually like the Kev McCulloch version.
Yes, we all hate you. So moving on. Go on, tell us why.
I don't know. It's I don't know. It's of its time, I admit.
Very much.
But it's different. I think if you're going to do a new version of the theme, don't try and recreate Delia Derbyshire, because you can't. Do a new version of the theme, which is what this is. Same with Dominic Glynn. I love Dominic Glynn's version. Which we haven't talked about.
No.
And I love that it was just one. It works for that one. I love it for that one season, that special little season. That's a slightly odd season. But those two late 80s versions, I actually really like them because they are doing something different. And I think if you're going to do a new version of the Doctor Who theme, do a new version of the Doctor Who theme, which is what they do. These days, I think it tries to emulate Delia Derbyshire too much, and you can't. You just can't.
That McCoy logo was horrible.
Yeah, I was just about to say, in that logo, looks like it was something that was sent into the Vision On gallery.
Yeah, and got filtered out and put in the crap pile.
Yeah.
Are you not a fan of the 80s logo, Ian?
Not in the slightest. I don't think I could even like that logo accidentally. No.
Are we talking the neon one?
No, we're talking this one. We're talking
that one. It was awful. God awful. I mean, the font for the Doctor doesn't match the font for Who, and both the fonts are crap. And it just looked a little bit too crayon comic strip for kids under the age.
That's what he wanted, wasn't it? What was it? It was Oliver Elmis, wasn't it? And he went on record. Remember in an interview with Doctor Who Monthly, Emilio, Oliver Elmis, who was the graphic designer there, and we have to remember as well, it was the first CGI. You know, it was really it was expensive stuff. And Oliver Elmis went on saying he thought Doctor Who was typical of a comic strip, Emilio, and that's why he did the bloody logo like that.
Well, I was about to say it made the Doctor Who page in the old TV comic look sophisticated by comparison.
I want to ask Emilio. I mean, you've seen some Sylvester McCoy stories. We know that.
Yes,
when you see that title, when you hear that theme music, that version of the theme music, what comes to mind?
I just don't like it. Personally, I just don't like it. I don't like the visual to go with it. I do think the best Doctor Who themes, both musically and visually, should represent what's going on screen, right? The kind of tone of the series. So I think personally, with Sylvester McCoy's last two series being much darker, more gritty, more bringing back more mysteriousness to the Doctor, I think the theme tune should reflect that, not be it looked very cheap. Well, I'm going to judge it in because I wasn't there, but it looks very cheap. It looks very tacky, and the music was just like, I don't think it really suited what would then proceed in terms of the episode you watch afterwards. I think it should flow, which is why for me, maybe because I was born, I grew up with the 2005 series, but why I actually really like the 2005 Murray Gold one, because I actually think tonally, at least, it flows with what you then see on screen. I would say the same for Derbyshire's one, and also the Pertwee one. I think they all marry well together. I think in the 80s they did not marry anything together, and that's why I don't like any of the 80s ones. Sorry.
Controversial stuff here on Who's Views Live.
A rant.
Oh no, well, that's honest.
Wrong answer, Emilio.
I'm going by.
That's all right, Emilio. I'm getting a lot of hate in the chat. Michael, you're not a real fan. You don't know if you like it.
No, you are not. Stop it right now. Listen, Emilio, do you like the 60s and 70s version of our favorite theme, though?
Yeah. I love those. I love them. Yeah, no, I think actually I prefer them to the obviously to the New Who stuff. Definitely.
Quite right too.
It would have been great. It would have been great maybe post 2005 had they basically just kept what was original. Maybe just tweak it a little bit. Just
they were going to
modern day standards. Yeah.
They were going to use the Tom Baker version for the new series.
Oh, they were. Okay.
And there's a lovely stereo mix of it, which I've got somewhere, which I can't play, but it would have been great.
Yeah. They decided, Milo, it was too slow for the pace of the show.
So, you can understand it logically, like speaking. Maybe
you can see where they were coming from.
It would have flowed well. Yeah, exactly. I remember as a kid, you used to sit down in 2006 or 2007, whatever, and that gets you pumped to watch Doctor Who, and it really suited the fast-paced nature of the show. So, I think if it works with what you see on screen, I think. And then I think it's a good theme tune in that sense. If it doesn't work with what's on screen, then it isn't a good theme tune. So that's how I judge it anyway. That's my kind of way of thinking about it.
Well, I love everything. I love everything up to 89, and I won't hear a bad word said about any of that.
Well, as Steve Hindley is saying here, and it's justice for Kev. Let's see what you're saying in the chat. We've got a lot of people with us here. Matt the Silent Way Music King is saying to us, I prefer the Dominic Glynn version to the Kev McCulloch version. Absolutely fabulous. I don't mind the later 2005 later version, says Paul Rose, but my favorite will always be the Baker 70s era, as it's the one I grew up with. Do you get, Paul, do you get the little hairs on the back of your neck standing up when you hear that? I still do to this very day. I don't like to throw the McCoy theme. I don't like how the McCoy theme was shifted to the key of G and it's too fast. This problem being. What else we got here? Nibbles is agreeing with you guys, saying the McCoy logo looks absolutely awful. And Amaray is with us saying the McCoy logo was very typical of the late 80s. It really was. It was terrible.
Yeah, I mean, in that sense.
Going on saying, hang on, Michael, let's get through some of the chat. Legion of James is saying, I also really like the theme change done for the Trial of a Time Lord season. What else we've got here as well? We've got, gosh, we've got a lot of you with us. Thank you so much. It's an horrendous logo, says Geordie Boy. Great to see you all. Thank you much. Peter Harrington saying blankety blank. What about it, love? I don't know. And 80s logo must have been done by someone who was enjoying a recreational weekend with the KLF. Digby saying thanks for a great panel on chat. Have to duck out. I hope you're well, Dobby, but nice to see you. And John Henson, nice to see you. Love to hear an Ultravox Doctor Who theme. Really? Would you? Oh, okay. That's an interesting one, guys, isn't it? I don't know. That is interesting. We've got a super chat here from Paul Thomas Ashworth. Thank you very much, Paul, for that. I love the Sylvester graphics and music. It was a big improvement on the Colin Baker mess. Sorry. Don't apologize. It's absolutely fine. You're absolutely fine. And you know, I personally don't like the Sylvester McCoy titles or the version of the theme. I remember that Monday night when it came on, cringing and thinking, oh my God. Thank God the stories were relatively all right after season 24. Oh, controversial. But gosh, no, if you like it, you like it. It's one of those things, isn't it? Thank you, Paul. Okay. Anyone else? Dominic's version seems to fit with the trial.
Yeah, I agree.
That was another shock, wasn't it? That one when it came on. 6th of September, Michael. 6th of September, 1985. The Dominic Glynn version was, and it was the same titles as well. I think that's why, for me, it grated. And Dominic's been on the show, and I've said to him, it must have been difficult trying to fix the theme tune to the titles. To which he said, yeah, because he had all those stars and things. Remember? So yeah.
And they added bits to it, didn't they? But there was quite a. I remember because that first episode of Trial of a Time Lord was shown live, if you like, at Panopticon 7, and then repeated the next day. But when it came on with the original BBC transmission on the screen, there was quite an audible gasp that it was different.
Oh, really?
I think it went down well. I don't. To be honest, I don't mind it. I don't mind it.
Yeah, I love it.
Got the 12-inch tucked away somewhere.
Let's talk about that in a second. Garbage, nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. Let's be honest, when you watch Doctor Who, you never skip the theme tune. No, you don't. And you can skip on today's TV, you can skip intros, can't you? And yet you never do with Doctor Who because you need to be part of it.
This is true. This is very, very, very niche. But there is one absolutely unique version of the theme tune that went out in the 70s. An episode of the Armageddon Factor. I think it was episode 2. The cliffhanger is Mary Tam being abducted by a couple of the Shadows guards, and Dudley Simpson's very dramatic incidental music as the cliffhanger takes place ends with a big timpani roll. But the timpani roll continues over the scream of the start of the end titles, and it mixes absolutely perfectly. And it's just like this wonderful little touch. I mean, I'm sure it was done by accident, not by design.
I totally think it was accident.
Yeah, totally. But seriously. Just get the DVD and just watch the end titles of that episode of the Armageddon Factor, and this timpani roll really boosts up the drama of the end of that episode going into the end theme.
It's like It's like Paul. Sorry, Michael. It's like Paul saying to us here. Yes, JT. It's the 70s cliffhanger sound effect before the end credits theme that really gets the hairs on the back of my neck tingling. I mean, that sound, Michael, that whole, which they now use in the modern version at the beginning, don't they? But that was signified. Do you remember when it came back in 2005? I got slightly confused when that thing screamed in at the beginning. I think, it's finished already. It was a way of actually you going, oh, with the music.
Yeah, exactly. And there was another nice mix. Sorry, I'm going to reference Peter Howell, George. In the first episode with the Peter Howell theme, when Tom Baker screams when he gets dismembered, it's a nice mix there with that, because that 80s scream is effective as well. I think it's on another level. But yeah, the closing sting is fantastic.
Yes, I mean, when it was used properly, when we were talking about the Brain of Morbius, I said, to me, the best cliffhanger ever is episode 2 of the Brain of Morbius, where blind Sarah is stumbling towards the brain in the jar, and the camera zooms in on the brain, and then the sting of the end titles, and that to me is just, you can't get more Doctor Who than that.
You can't. You absolutely can't. It's just amazing. It is slightly still to this day confusing why they use the sting at the beginning. I just don't get it. But anyway, that's just me. Dalek Eye. Even when I binge watch Doctor Who, I will never skip the intro or outro. No, you can't. We can't do that. And Stephen Braddock is saying to us, I'm going to watch the Dalek Invasion of Earth tomorrow for Doctor Who Day. Well, good for you. 23rd of November tomorrow. Obviously, we will be reviewing the Dalek Invasion of Earth next week here on the channel, because that's the one you chose for us to watch. And we're going to be talking all about that. So come back and join us. Aaron's with us, guys. Aaron Sutherland saying, best bit of the trial was the theme and the first 30 seconds of visuals, which used up all the budget. It's true, though, isn't it? Absolutely, but it is, isn't it? Dominic gets that theme blending seamlessly into that funereal atmosphere at the start of trial, and then it sort of all goes BBC.
Bring out the video cameras.
Yeah.
Cut to studio, love. BBC said go. Such a shame. Mark Greaves, thank you so much for your comment and for your super chat. He's saying us, what a great panel tonight, as usual. I'm scared that the Muppet RTD will incorporate lyrics into his new crap.
Oh my God! Can you imagine lyrics?
Oh my goodness! Yeah, I've told you all before, you intelligent lot on our channel in the chat. Stop giving them ideas, because we do know a musical's on the way. And I think about that, guys. When I'm thinking this musical's on the way, I wonder if they'll incorporate the Doctor Who theme into that, because that would be the campus thing he could possibly do at this particular.
Is there a musical on the way? Is there?
Yeah, there's a musical version on the way. Yeah.
What were you talking about? What, like a stage show musical or something?
No, a musical episode.
Oh, I see. Oh,
another one.
At the concert.
Didn't they do that last season?
Well,
not another one.
not really.
You remember that old lady when she was like, "There's another election," and you're going to be like, "Not another one." Every season, it's going to be a musical theme.
What the hell is even that?
Exactly. No, but we've already got that. Thank you for that. Carwin is saying to us, we haven't talked about the Peter Cushing themes. Okay, it might not be part of the show, but it is a Doctor Who theme. I have to say, Carwin, I know you're new to the channel. So much for you to go back and look at, because we've got a whole Sound of Whoosic episode in our playlist dedicated to the music of the Peter Cushing Dalek films. So go back and have a look at that. Peter Beckman's fan site is just falling to the floor saying, oh, good heavens, why? I know, I'm sorry about that, everybody, but we're on to that one. Hey, listen, we did start to talk about this. This was the wonderful 12-inch version of the Dominic Glynn theme tune with the infamous holographic cover, everybody, which was absolutely terrible. In that, you've got a company from the 80s called Fine Art Castings who did these little pewter models in both 40mm and 80mm. So there you've got a Dalek, a Saigon, a Cyberman, Davros, and a Sontaran, all in glorious 1980s holographic mode.
Okay, because I was squinting at that, thinking, is that a Dennis Fisher Cyberman?
No, they're Fine Art Castings. There you go.
I do like the graphic design of that logo there. I like the red suits it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here it is here, and it was. Look, ta-da! Can you see that?
Yeah.
Oh,
mine got bent, so that it didn't quite work as well.
Well, you'll be if you haven't got this, it's got side one, Doctor Who, the theme from the BBC TV series, arranged and performed by Dominic Glynn. And then the original realized by Delia Derbyshire with it as well. And then on side 2,
yeah, brace yourself,
which we know Mr. Glynn was never very happy with. You've got Doctor Who, the Cosmic Remix, performed by Mankind. Arranged by Mark Stevens, produced by Don Gallagher, and remixed by Ron Spider Baker. There you go.
That's where I first heard the Mankind version. I remember thinking, what the is that?
But there you go. That was 1986. You could also get it on a sort of I've got it on the usual single, because at this point we were used to those, weren't we, guys? We were getting used to these things coming out. We had one for Tom, we had one for Peter, Bob, and Colin, as you see there. They didn't release anything like this for the Dominic Glynn version, except one which was in a white, those little white bits of paper with the record thrown into it.
Yes.
That was it.
Yeah. Just as a quick sidebar, just looking at those 3 picture sleeves for the theme there, that photo of Colin, they've gone pretty mad with the pancake on them, haven't they?
Yeah. Can you imagine? That would have been John in the background saying, "More of it, love, more."
I just shared? I love that photo of Tom. I love that photo.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks happy in that one. There are others, of course, from the publicity for season 18 in that costume where he doesn't look well at all. And he doesn't look.
I wish he'd worn that hat a bit more in that season.
I know, it's a lovely hat.
I heard a story that original set of publicity photos of Tom in what was then his new costume, all the shots are him from the waist upwards, and there weren't any full length shots because the bottom half of the costume wasn't ready in time to do the photo shoot. Yes.
That's Tom's excuse.
I love that. Kirsty's in the chat with us now as well. Hello, Kirst. Nice to see you. And John Mason is saying, "I've got the Mankind 12-inch." Oh, so it's not so good. Nice cover though. Sorry, I must continue reading, mustn't I, John? But yeah, there we go. Thank you for that. Yeah, it's brilliant. Let's go back to another one, an early commercial thing. We're talking about the Doctor Who exhibition. George, you'll know what I talk about because we're talking about this particular version here. Stereo version of TV music, folks. There it is. This is number 1. This was the first version of the single out there commercially, properly, the big one. This is the one they would play all the time. 9 hours a day at Blackpool at the exhibition, 7 days a week, wasn't it?
Yes. And it looks like the BBC splashed out on a new spirograph set for the graphics there behind the
Yeah, because that's very SFX sound effects type thing, isn't it? That's very sci-fi. Look at it. Which version have you got, George?
I have that one, and I have the it was re-released in another cover as well.
That's nice.
And that one came from the Blackpool exhibition, and I think it's exactly the same B-side as well, Reg by Paddy Kingsland.
Yeah. But very similar to the sound effects LP.
Yeah. But like you did, I always associate the theme single with the Blackpool exhibition because that's where I bought all my copies from.
Something else that you could get at Blackpool. How many of you had this?
Yeah. Wonderful.
This was the original thing. I remember being thrilled getting this. BBC Space themes, which included Blake 7, Apollo, Quatermass, The Sky at Night, Star Trek, and of course Journey into Space, as well as our own beloved Doctor Who. This is my version.
That's good, Nick.
Yeah.
Well, you may think that. You're not getting a close-up on it because it's not really, but there you go. And also the little scrolls from little 8-year-old me or something on there where I've drawn a police box. Anyway, but this was really impressive at the time, wasn't it? Really, because did you notice as well? Why did Doctor Who always get to be on side 2 at the very end?
I remember being a bit miffed that Doctor Who didn't get top billing, as it were.
Yeah, me too. Me too. It's just totally bizarre. Matt Irvin, everybody on this, wrote the sleeve notes here at the bottom here where he goes through each of the shows. And for Doctor Who, he says at the very end, the theme was written by Ron Grainer and has remained basically unchanged for all these years. Now, this came out in 1978. Can you ever just imagine, Emilio, you little thing, you? 1978, everybody, on vinyl. There you go. It was just, but it was brilliant, wasn't it? This was just one of these things. It was essential, really, to have that.
Yeah, it was.
I don't know how many times I sat there in front of the stereo with those big 70s earphones, the ones with the coil thing, and just playing the theme tune over and over and over again on vinyl. I just obsessed.
Well, yeah. But getting the official, Ian, as it were, the official tune on the BBC Space Themes album, actually made up for me for this. So this is Jeff Love with his EMI best-selling album, Jeff Love and his orchestra, Star Wars and other space themes, of which most of us will have. That's me. What a letdown was this? I'm sorry to our Paul, who loves this version, but this is what actually convinced me to this very day that orchestral versions of the theme tune don't work. What do you guys reckon?
As a novelty, I don't mind it.
Yeah, it's the am I thinking the right one? It's the there's a break in the music, and then a siren goes off, and then it restarts, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, sort of. It's like a long, drawn out either trumpet or trombone rising, and then
but it sounds like the fire alarm's just gone off.
I thought it sounded like a train arriving.
I mean, they have problems with that album, don't they? Because they're not really allowed to use that many photographic references either, which is why the Enterprise has got retro rockets and a pointy nose.
I think it was more of a case that Music for Pleasure wouldn't pay the copyright.
I will hold my hands up, right?
Yes,
I like it. Jeff Love in his orchestra.
What is it that you like about it?
It's just different. It's what I would imagine a Doctor Who version would be on a Cushing film, especially the first one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Anyway, good night. No. There were loads of vinyl albums. There were loads of vinyl albums of knockoff science fiction film and TV themes in the 70s. There must be lots of rare versions out there. Wow. There is, and you can actually find them now, of course, when you look these albums up. You can go, just put in TV themes of the 70s, and you can find a hell of a lot of them that will come up for you on all your devices these days. And the tradition continues, because I've got this. He says with the CD popping out, this is brand new. This is energizing cult TV themes, dance mixes of classics. Look at that. And this is available right now. This is brand new. If you want the information for this, let you know in the comments, and we'll put the details in there for you. But this has dance versions of the Doctor Who theme, the Avengers theme, the Prisoner, the X-Files, Thunderbirds, Randall Hopkirk, Deceased, Star Trek, and others as well. The Doctor Who one's not that bad, actually.
How amazing they've used Patrick Troughton as the image for Doctor Who.
Yeah. It is Troughton, isn't it?
It is,
yeah. Yeah, it is.
Wonderful.
Let me just
all these years.
I'll see if I can get a close up for you here. Hang on. Let's have it. There we go. So you can see a bigger picture there. Yeah, see? Mrs. Peel were needed, but that's it. And it just brings home to me how good this all is. And how the Doctor Who theme tune is still, guys, it's still there, and it's still being, because I remember just in the 90s, Emilio, yes, in the 90s, dancing to the Doctor Who theme tune in Heaven nightclub. I couldn't quite believe it, I have to say. But here it is. Oh, you get my collection tonight, guys, I tell you. Aren't you very, very lucky? This is number 8, because when I heard this in Heaven nightclub back in the 90s, I thought, it can't be. Bearing in mind the show was not on air, everybody, it'd been and gone. And I think this what, and people were like, woo! And this is by, and a big shout out to Vonal, VONALKSZ. Now get this, there's several versions remixed on this, guys. The Davros Stavros Kebab Mix.
The what?
Oh, that's my ringtone.
What did you say?
The Davros Stavros Kebab Mix. The Tom Baker Mix. K9's Win-A-Lot Prime Mix. And the Vulture Squadron's Mad Doctor Remix. So I've got
Davros Kebab Mix. I've got it.
And this is brilliant. I've tried to look for it on the Tube of Who. There is only one version available on this from Vonal KSZ, but I'm very pleased with this. I've got number 8. I also happen to have number 314 as well. Don't ask me how. Anyway, so that's that. Hi. So yeah, this was arranged and produced by Andy Brooks from Sheffield back in the day. There it is there. That I just couldn't believe when that came on in Heaven nightclub that night. I was just like, you are joking me, straight down on the dance floor. As Doctor Who fan.
If the timelines were different, the Davros kebab mix could have been played in John Pertwee's Burger Bar.
Oh, I just thought that you might find that one fun.
Imagine John Pertwee's like a Davros kebab. Sure, with tzatziki.
I thought you might be interested in that one, everyone. Carwin is back with us saying Jeff Love version had a raspy saxophone in it, if I remember. It really does. Raspy is a nice thing. And Julianne is saying got Jeff Love and his Muzak album.
Yes. And the rip-off cover versions, are fun on their own level. But going back to what Ian was saying about, it sounded like what a Peter Cushing Doctor Who movie theme would have sounded like. I wonder what, had it have been made, what the theme for Doctor Who meets Scratchman would have been like.
Now, I wanted to ask you this. Oh, you're anticipating me. So ILX, how to see? I used to have that album on cassette, very disco, but agree with Ian. That's the other one there as well. Great. There's so many comments coming through, guys. It's great. But I wanted to ask you, and I want to ask you all in the chat here as well. If there had been a Doctor Who movie, because let's face it, it's never going to happen. But had there been a big budget Doctor Who movie, what sort of theme would you want accompanying the movie?
Well, had Scratchman have been made, I would have wanted the TV theme.
Oh, would you? Do you think that would have worked in the cinema?
Mm-hmm.
I have to say I agree. What about the rest of you? What do you think?
I think the 67 to 79 version, not redone, just taken, completely cleaned up, given a, so it's really treated so it comes out through a cinema auditorium without sounding tinny. So, boosted up a little bit, but that version done properly. Yeah.
I'm going to say 2022 Murray Gold. Joke, obviously. No. I think if you're in the movie and it's dark, I guess kind of what they did in the 50th anniversary, right? They just used the 1963. I think that probably in a movie to start off is probably of the ones that we have would be best suited for the cinema.
Best suited for the cinema? Is that the question? Sorry, I've run out of coffee.
If there had been a Doctor Who movie for the cinema, what would you expect from the theme?
Okay. Putting my cinema brain on, I would think the opening should actually be just a bit of a hint of ooey-oo and a slight little hint of the theme tune, but not play it, and wait until the closing credits to play a full Daft Punk version. There you go. Good night, everybody.
There goes that tumbleweed again. Steve Henley is saying, I danced to a remix version in a club somewhere too back in the 90s. You see, I'm not alone. It was there. It might be in this one, Steve, here from Vonal. And also, just to let you know, if you want to have any more information, Andy is still around. It's andyvonal.bandcamp.com. There you go, andyvonal.bandcamp.com. I forgot to mention that. I think for myself, if it had been, I agree with you guys. I think if there had been a movie, I think it would have been absolutely amazing, as Domgo was saying here, for the Tom Baker theme to have been used. Can you imagine how big and epic that would look with the theme tune? Because a Doctor Who movie, let's face it, would have to be different because it would have to have an opening title sequence. You couldn't do what they do in movies and just have a tune coming on or credits over the opening first scene. You would have to have an iconic theme. And I think if they used that, the Tom Baker one, I would have preferred that. I think that would be marvelous in the film.
I think they used elements of it at the beginning and then the full theme at the end.
I'd want the whole thing. And I reckon what George was saying about the Scratchman movie, had that gone, I reckon Tom would have wanted that. Damn that Star Wars.
Yes.
For a big budget movie, it would have to be the Delia one, says Problem Being. Lex Kane is saying the original with a mix of 80s vibe. I would have wanted a remixed version of 2150 AD, says Stephen Lee. Stephen Braddock, Doctor Who movie. I would have liked a very eerie, atmospheric version of the 70s version for me. Gosh, look at this. If there had been a Tom movie, said Paul Rose, his theme reimagined by John Williams. He's been mentioned a lot in the chat tonight, John Williams. I wonder what he would have made of the Doctor Who theme. Pertwee thought early Baker meld, says Pete Harrington. So thank you for that. And Paul Stenford saying the original Delia Derbyshire version for a big budget movie. I think it would really work. Can you imagine that on a cinema with all the technologies like that, with the sound, all those swirls and the gurgles and the bubbles and all that sort of stuff in Tom's one? Ooh,
they could build it up. You know, you're sitting there in the cinema seat, and it just builds louder and louder, and like you're by the end of it, you're there. Like I think
that's what I mean.
You can make the sound really get with it.
Rework all the elements.
Exactly. Yeah, build it up.
We've got a lot of comments.
Just rework them.
A lot of opinions about this one. Legion of James, possibly a Mike Oldfield version for the movie, might have added a bit of the mystery back into it, along with the otherworldly, almost an X-File vibe. Dalek Eye, the original Delia version for the cinema. Domgo is saying to us, I can't listen to Murray Go without ear defenders.
What's an ear defender?
What you're wearing?
Okay.
Headphone type things, yeah.
Defending the ears.
Right. Again, to Paleo, Clive 1684. Are we forgetting the 260s feature films with original scores and the lovely Peter Cushing? Certainly not. We've already done the show for that one. It's the Sound of Who's It playlist. You can go and look at us talking about the entire scores on those two films.
Yes, there's an absolutely wonderful CD available with both the film scores on it.
Absolutely, and that's the ones we review. We reviewed that, so go and have a look at that.
Can't get the CD now. It's just download.
It's just download.
Right. Yeah, I'm really annoyed about it because I missed.
You might be able to find some somewhere. I think the Who Shop had a couple left. Mind you, we were talking about that last time, but I don't know. Carwin, depends on who's making the film and the tone of it. Spielberg would be a very different to a Danny Elfman, Tim Burton version.
Oh God, could you imagine?
No, you'd probably have the Doctor's dad creeping up from somewhere or something like that, wouldn't you? So, look here, we've got to go and look for the lost pieces of the key to time again. Oh, sorry. That nearly happened. Can you imagine, says Paul Rose, an Iron Legion movie with Tom and a decent budget back then, if only?
That's the thing. They should adapt the Star Beast.
What do you make of this one from Mark? Mark Greaves is saying, no opening theme, but end theme, the original one.
I don't think...
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, sorry to disagree with you here, Michael, but I'm not sure that works. I'm thinking of the mercifully largely forgotten 1998 reboot Avengers movie, as in Steed and Mrs. Peel.
Oh yeah,
and the opening titles had a very generic piece of film music, which didn't have any atmosphere to it whatsoever. True. And then we got to the end titles, and there was a really good new arrangement of the Laurie Johnson Avengers theme to close the film.
Yeah, and had the film started at the beginning, it still would have been crap, but it would have got you into a better mood to watch it.
Yes. Why on earth didn't you use that at the top of the film?
Good point. Yeah.
Yeah, if you haven't, if we were to had a Doctor Who movie, I would have expected exactly like the TV show, Tom's music and the titles, to be quite honest. I think it would have looked amazing. Yeah, they would have had to change the titles a little bit because they wouldn't fit the cinema, but something very similar. But John Mason is saying to us, guys, as long as it didn't have a drum kit on it, I don't mind.
Just on that, I think there could be an opportunity. I'm surprised they've never done it before, but especially with 2-parters or 4-parters or whatever. Not having an end, like not having the end theme tune. If something like, let's say there's a shocking death and it's just silent, I think that would, like, you're so used to having the end theme tune at the end of the episode, just having absolutely just almost eerie quietness after something shocking's happened on screen. They should do something with that. There's a missed opportunity.
Have you not seen Earthshock?
I've watched not all of it, so I didn't finish it.
Well, we'll say
nothing. I know what happens. I know Adric died, but does it actually?
Wrong answer.
How? Now,
wait, Adric didn't die?
No, he did. He did, but it's the first episode of Doctor Who's history not to have the famous music at the very end of episode 4.
I don't know if it's still available.
To be corrected, but maybe do it more often. It would be good.
I don't know if it's still available, but some wag on YouTube at one point actually dubbed on the Terry and June end theme onto those titles. It's hilarious.
That works.
How fabulous. I've got to look that one up. I'm sure it does. This is interesting, though, guys. From Domgo, I've always thought a Doctor Who movie should start in complete darkness with just the Tom Baker theme, and when the ooh-wee ooh starts, the tunnel sequence should blast onto the widescreen. I'm excited by that. What a missed opportunity! I can see that in my mind's eye right now, Domgo.
But I mentioned this earlier. That sort of happens with the Tom Baker titles, because you get probably about a 1 second totally black screen before the two bands of the Vortex kick in. And I think that's just as much part of the titles as the rest of it. So yeah, I completely agree. That would be a fantastic way to start a Doctor Who movie.
I tell you what, with Doctor Who's soaring popularity, it's only a matter of time.
Oh, Ken, that whole opportunity has been and gone many moons ago. It's been and gone.
I'll confess that, at the end of a film, they don't just have the end theme, do they? Sometimes they'll go into a second or a third track, depending on the length of the credits.
A Sheryl Crow song or something.
Yes.
Well, I thought of, for years, I've thought this based purely on mishearing something. I always thought that a Doctor Who film could bleed into REM's Sidewinder Sleeps Tonight.
Yes.
Yes. The chorus of that, to me, always sounded like calling Tom Baker.
It does. Yeah, it does.
And,
well,
and
I've always said that
because of that.
Yeah,
I know what you mean. Yes. You've just reminded me the Human League did a track once called Tom Baker.
They did, It didn't sample the theme tune.
No.
But they did do that, and Tom thought it highly amusing, apparently.
Yes.
And I think there was even a photo shoot or something from it.
Yeah.
I can't remember that, but there is something going on there about that one. I like what you've just said there as well, Ian. He says lining up the next part of the show, because the Doctor Who theme tune can be sampled into lots and lots of different things. Oh yes, it can, and has been many, many times. Now I'm going to take you back, actually, everybody. Take you back. Yes, back to those heady days when Doctor Who was off there. And thank you, Michael. When Doctor Who was off there, and yet strangely incredibly popular. Yes, we're talking the 90s again, everybody. And this is the Resistance is Futile Doctor Who remixed track sampler from Panopticon in 2003. Now, this was the big convention. This was the convention that debuted Paul McGann in his very first convention ever. And it was down in London, and it was brilliant, and it was wonderful. And we were all excited because just a few weeks before, it was announced that the show was coming back. And we were all like, ah! It was just amazing. Here it is here. This particular thing here, right? This is my copy. This was given away free at Panopticon that year. These things are really rare, so yabu to you lot. Anyway, so this is what we've got here. The brilliant thing about this was supposed to be, guys, believe it or not, an album which never happened. And this involved remixes of Doctor Who themes, not just the tune, not just the theme tune, but elements of the show. And it was going to be done by various people. So I will give you this. There's a song called There, There, My Brigadier by Saint Etienne. Do you remember them?
Wow.
And the Masters theme tune, do you know the one from the Sea Devils and stuff? Remixed by 808 State. Yeah. Big names, Emilio. Emilio's looking at us blankly thinking,
no, I'm really trying. No, I'm not going to pretend.
This was it here. It also includes on this track 1, which I can't play for you, but it is available on our Facebook page if you go to that. And I also put it into the chat at the very top of the show before we came on air. In those days, I don't know if they still do it, but the Panopticons always had a theme tune that they played as the show was starting, as the Panopticon was starting. And this one, this year for 2003, was so exciting for me. It was called 40 Years of a Time Lord, the theme from Panopticon, written and put together by Alistair Locke and Andrew Beach. And if they ever come across this show, I hope you're both well, because I haven't seen you both in years, but I hope you are very, very well and healthy and happy. And I was very excited. I mentioned this to Alistair years later, because there's a very interesting mashup in this, as we now call it, because the Doctor Who theme tune bleeds into a huge 1980s hit. And if you go and listen to it, you will recognize, I hope, Madonna's Open Your Heart. It's wonderful. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it, because I was just like, I was there at Panopticon immediately going, what? That's open your heart. What's going on? Woo! It was just wonderful.
I've never heard of that. I wonder where I could get a copy of that, JT.
I wonder if that's a hint, everybody. But there it is. Look at that cover as well.
That's a wonderful image of a Dalek,
isn't it?
Beautiful.
Gentlemen, I'm going to have to depart. I'm sorry, early. Sorry to leave you so early. The show will pick up from now on. Trust me. I'm actually off to visit Sylvester McCoy, who's in my neck of the woods. So,
oh yes, well, have a great day.
I have to leave. I'm sorry.
Yeah, see what he says. See what he, you're on a mission. Go and complete it.
I'll ask him what he thinks of his theme tune and his logo. Gentlemen, take care.
Thanks, Michael.
Bye-bye.
But yes, that was it. We've got lots of comments coming about that. 808 State says Pete, fab. They were massive as well. 808 State, weren't you? Remember? Huge.
So they never did any work on this. They never actually. They were like lined up for it, but they never did any.
That's it. You got the Saint Etienne track and the 808 State track, and that was it. The actual album that was mooted to come out never happened, and I was gutted because these tracks are actually really cool. And I thought, what else could they possibly do? Who's going to cover what? Who's going to be inspired to write something about it? And I think that's my personal opinion. Those artists were cheap. And they would have wanted some sort of payment, wouldn't they? And I wonder if they thought, oh, we haven't got the budget for this now. Komodo, it's lovely to see you. 808 State are usually good remixes. They really, really are. Nibbles is also saying on a similar line, the Gallifrey 1 themes by Dominic Glynn are really good. They're fabulous. They're on the shelf over there. Absolutely. I listened to this with the links. Thank you, JT, says Stephen Braddock. It was superb. It is fun, isn't it, Stephen? It really is. Nibbles is saying about that one, it's a beautiful cover. I'm glad you like that one. Carwin is saying to us, wasn't the Schalke theme a jazzed up version, a bit Clubland style? How many of us remember Schalke? Scream of the Schalke. Yeah, the theme tune for that is definitely recognizable, but it is sort of woo 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 woo. Do you remember? Woo woo, like that sort of trippy sort of nonsense. What else we got here? Thank you very much for joining us, everybody. It's great to see you all. There's a great band called Chameleon Circuit Themes on Characters and Who on CD. Fun takes. Look them up. Thank you, Pete. That's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's really good. But yeah, I just thought you might be interested in that one as well. That one there. So that was Resistance is Futile from 2003. There's that beautiful logo there that Clayton Hickman came up with. Genius. Can you see the 40? Can you see the 40? Can you see it? Can you see it? Genius that. They've never beaten that logo for an anniversary, Emilio, in my eyes. Absolutely amazing. But there you go. What else have we got here? The Cybermen by Kraftwerk, perhaps, says Paul Rose. That will yes, please. Bring it on. And during the ravey 90s, all the bands had an attempt at the Doctor Who theme, says Domgo. I only remember some of them.
What about Dimensions in Time?
Oh God, you had to mention that. Go on then. Yes, Cybertech, everybody. Cybertech, the legends that were Cybertech. Again, two versions of that, believe it or not, because they came out with the Cybertech record. Do you remember they had about three albums? Fantastic music, though. Yeah.
They knew how to put tracks together. Definitely.
They really, really did. This was Cybertech. I wasn't keen on the Dimensions in Time thing that they did because it was very rushed because John needed something that was like 1 second.
Yeah.
But they have done on their albums a fantastic version of the theme tune, I thought. And I thought, yeah, that sounds really, really good. Have you guys heard that?
I've heard snippets. I've not heard the full track.
Well, it is available.
I do have a soft spot for the Dimensions in Time one. I've got to be honest.
Why is that? Then tell us why that.
No, I just do because Doctor Who was persona non grata BBC, wasn't it? And they were throwing it in because they knew grudgingly that it was still popular and it would bring them in money for their appeal. So they put it in, and it was all 3D, wasn't it, as well? And they
allegedly.
Yeah, allegedly, and it was just quite fast. It was Doctor Who on acid, wasn't it?
Yes, yes.
I just remember being over the moon because there was Tom in costume being the Doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all it was worth, really. But yeah, the theme music is there. It's Cybertech. Cyber is in Cyberman, and then TECH H. Some of it is available on the Tubifu if you want to go and check that one out as well. I'll try and remember to put some links in our comments for you to all these particular sites that are doing it. I don't know if it's still available on the CD or if you can get it on your downloads, but Cybertech is worth looking at. It's actually the first one. Well, actually, both of them, the first two albums are basically what they would put together, Emilio, if they were producing a series or a film. Okay. And there's various scenes that they enact through music. And there is one actually that's all about the Doctor regenerating at the end of it. And that's an incredible piece of music. It's very moving when you've been through this whole journey of We the Machines and all these sort of lovely titles on all these particular scenes. And then you get to one of them and he dies. And it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant because it's all about the rebirth and all that sort of stuff. All done through music. It's like an opera without people singing at you. Recommend Cybertech. Emilio, that's new for you as well. I would recommend that one for you. How's that?
Lots of new things. I should have taken notes.
You can go back and rewatch.
Yes, that's true. Exactly. Yeah.
I have no idea what Paul Rose means with this comment. JT, they say if you remember the 60s, you weren't there. For us, it was the 80s and 90s. I have no idea what you're talking about. Paul Richards is also saying to us, I love the Peter Howell version of the theme, which I grew up with, but I think the original is a sinister, stunning piece of work. Wow, I've never heard, George, the word sinister allocated to the Doctor Who theme before.
Yeah, one thing I think that Peter Howell did get absolutely right, I think it was Peter Howell who did the incidental music for Meglos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was Peter Howell. Because he sampled the Doctor Who theme as the Doctor's theme in Meglos. And musically, he was telling the audience, oh, you're looking at the Doctor, not Meglos in the Doctor's body. Because there's a wonderful Doctor Who-y moment in it where, Tom turns a corner and walks down a corridor, and on the soundtrack, you get the bass line of the Doctor Who theme.
Yeah.
And as the camera tracks past him, you get the ooey-oo. As it goes into the next scene, and that was just so on point.
Totally. And that started a tradition in some of the stories where they did that little thing as well, wasn't it? And it's a shame. I've said this before on one of our shows. They don't do that anymore. They don't refer to the theme tune anymore. That's the Doctor's theme. You don't need all this wailing nonsense of all these orchestra from North London. You don't need all that sort of stuff because you've already got it there in the iconic Ron Gray and Adelia Derbyshire version there. Just use that. You don't need all this stuff, do you? Copyright whose views?
I agree with Paul's last comment on it being sinister, the Delia Derbyshire one, because I think it probably of all of them the most. You definitely say it's the most eerie of the bunch, and it's probably the most like otherworldly, I would say, of all the theme tunes. So it had got a little bit of like an edge to it that the others just don't have.
I mean, to me, it is by far the most evocative by a country mile.
Domgo, yes. Was the 74-79 version ever released as a single like the 1980s theme? Yeah. You could get it on the BBC Space Themes one we showed you before, but the nearest single you got is to the one that George was holding up there. Yeah, so that was the version they preferred to release.
Yeah, though things like the Genesis of the Daleks LP used the TV edit of the theme, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My version of my 45 RPM, that's revolutions per minute on the old turntable, Emilio. How fast it went round. It was just in the old paper sleeve. It didn't have the picture sleeve at all. It was just in the paper thing.
Yeah, well, a lot of the singles there, and you find them now in the charity shops and in these sort of antique fairs now, as you call the record vinyl fairs. You find them, don't you? And there's no sleeve, but apparently a lot of them are presented to us like that are the rarest ones. So you can find some gems.
Yeah, because the original 1964 Decca release didn't have a picture sleeve; it was just in a white paper sleeve.
You couldn't put it, actually, if you did anything like that today, which they wouldn't do. They wouldn't dare put a sleeve on it because they'd be saying, "Well, you're going to change again in 5 minutes, and you don't know who you're going to get."
Yeah.
It was bad enough in the 80s when we got Tom, then we got Peter, and then we got Colin, all within like 5 years or something. Do you remember?
I think the first Doctor Who record that had a picture sleeve was the Christmas classic, I'm Going to Spend My Christmas with a Dalek.
Oh, bless. That's a whole show in itself.
They didn't release Sylvester's, though, did they, for a long time?
They didn't release the Kev McCulloch version until I think the nearest we got was the 25th anniversary album.
That's it. Yeah.
There it is. Which started with the TARDIS and Doctor Who, then Doctor Who, and then you got the end title theme for Doctor Who on side 2. You got the Peter Howell version on this as well, and the Dominic Glynn version on side 2 of this thing. That's still available apparently on CD. Everybody.
Yes. Interesting that they're using the Diamond logo there and not the current logo. Yeah, and not the current TV logo, the then current TV logo.
For this album as well, this was in different colors. So I've got the sort of green and gold and red one here because I thought that looked really nice. But you could also get it in blue and green, and you can get it in. Oh, what was the other one? It was a sort of golden. I can't remember the other one. There was a third version. It was just quite annoying that they did all that. Have you heard, says Dalek Eye, that's my line, the variations on a theme Panopticon 1987, 4 great tracks, JT? What you mean this one, Dalek Eye? Look at this. Yes. Again, you can get this. You can hear this on the Tube of Who. You can still get various CDs. This is the one we mentioned at the top of the show where Michael was talking about a square CD. The world's first square CD, which none of us could play. So what was the point? But
it was pointless, wasn't it? It was utterly pointless.
A square CD.
It was a square CD, and none of us could play it, of course. It was utterly pointless. I don't know why. It's worth nothing, by the way. But that was the original vinyl version. It has been put out as that on CD version. But you're right there as well, Dalekai, because on this one you get Doctor Who The Mood version, arranged, performed, and produced by Mark Ayres. You then get Dominic Glynn's Terror version. On side 2, you get Kev McCulloch with his Latin version. And then you get Mark Ayres back again with the Panopticon 8 Regeneration mix. And they're all pretty good. I really like these. They're nice. Have you got these, Ian?
I got the CD. They not the square CD. I got the round CD. It wasn't that front though. It was slightly different. I think it was like the album. My CD's like the album cover.
Yes, this is the second one. I got the second one.
Yeah, the Latin version. They didn't they use that on the Doctor Who years VHSs?
Yes.
I like the Terror version though. Took a while to get going, but I thought that was quite good when it was on its way.
If you've not heard them, I'd recommend them, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Great sorts of stuff. Nibbles is saying to us, I've got the 25th anniversary album, also beautiful cover for the vinyl. And the Doctor Who Dominic Glynn remix is on Apple Music. It's fantastic. The Gallifrey remixes. Yeah. And as he said to us when he came on the show, he was he loved putting those together because he wasn't always 100%, not necessarily 100% happy with his 1986 broadcast version, George. And he wanted to go back and improve it and show people that he could do it. And he proved himself over and over again because he did. He's done several versions of it now. It's lovely. Paul is saying to us, the modern theme is lousy. It's a messy, awful cacophony with RTD's heavy breathing, allegedly.
It matches the show, though, doesn't it?
And Problem Being saying, I had that 25th anniversary album on cassette. Cassette. Coming back now, everybody. I was disappointed because the bulk of it was the awful season 24 incidental music. Oh, bless. And Paul Richards, Dominic Glynn's version is quite haunting and echoey, and I like it. Yeah, definitely. Totally agree. Stephen Braddock saying to us, the 60s and 70s had so many atmospheric theme tunes alongside Doctor Who, such as Escape into the Night, Time Slip, The Tomorrow People, Children of the Stones. 70s Doctor Who fitted right in, didn't it just? And also, I think it inspired a lot of the other television shows, to be quite honest, guys. You know, I really do. I think it was there saying, look at us, look what we've done, and yah boo to the rest of you. So,
Doctor Who should be a trailblazer, for sure. It is such a unique theme tune. I think probably where it probably some of the things go wrong is that they maybe try to be too current with the era it's in, rather than actually focusing on, hey, we've got something really unique here. If we are going to tweak it, let's be really creative and do something that completely different, rather than trying to fit it into what the current TV landscape is doing, because it is just unique, right? So why would you kind of sacrifice that just to be current? Because when you do that, then it just doesn't become it just kind of just fits in with the rest of the noise. And I can understand why a lot of people don't like the new Who stuff, because it very much goes in that direction. It loses its kind of authenticity and its uniqueness. Not to say that it loses it completely, but it does lose something by trying to be current, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it always amazes me that, whoever is at the helm, you've got this absolutely iconic, timeless piece of music, and somebody somewhere sits down and goes, right, what can we do to really bugger it up then?
Yeah. I totally agree, and I totally agree with what you're saying there, Emilio, as well. I mean, it's to its credit. I mean, when the show came back when it was announced it was coming back in 2003, and they started production in 2004, there was no doubt from any of us, I think, that the theme music would still be there. None of us had the conversation, as far as I'm aware, of would they change the theme music, because you couldn't, because they were saying Doctor Who was coming back, and Russell at that point made it he was very insistent this was going to be a continuation. No, this is going to be your next Doctor, number 9. How things have changed. But it's a testament again to those fantastic early days with Ron Grainer, and then of course Delia Derbyshire, that the thing comes back and it's a massive hit. And of course it's the music, it's the theme music being brought to a brand new set of children and families again, that's leading the way with it. And I think that's a huge testament to the success of this, the bestest Telly theme tune in the world ever, everybody. No doubt in my mind about this one. I've had a great time tonight, everybody. I want to say a huge thank you to everybody that's been joining us. Before we go, we've got one more thing to do. As we were saying in the show, over the last couple of weeks, we've been running a poll on our community tab here on Who's Views. In round 1, we asked which of the 20 slightly different versions broadcast on BBC One of the Telly theme tune you liked. So you voted. You voted and voted and voted. We had an awful lot of votes, so thank you so much. From that, we whittled it down to 4 that were in the lead. 4 that were in the lead. Oh, it was amazing results, guys, that came through. It was very, very interesting. So we had 4. Those 4 were 1967 to 79, Delia Derbyshire. 1980 to 1985, Peter Howell. 1986, Dominic Glynn. And interestingly, representing Murray Gold, the one-off rock version from 2015.
Oh, really?
Really? Very, very interesting.
Very surprised.
I was really surprised about that one as well, but that's the one that people liked. All our Who viewers that voted, that's the one they prefer from all of the millions that Murray Gold has provided over the last 19 years.
Didn't Peter Capaldi play the guitar on? He actually played the guitar on that, right?
It wouldn't surprise me. I know it was rumored, but I'd never seen it confirmed. If any of you two?
No, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
If it is, he's very good.
Well, that may soften the blow a little bit. Into the top.
Well, it might actually.
I love Peter as an actor, so if he played the guitar, and it bumps it up a little bit for me.
I hated his general theme, though. I thought it got too fluffy, like somebody blowing through cigarette paper. You know, that kind of noise. Combination of that and somebody blowing one of those imitation duck noises. It was horrible too.
Strangled, Ian. Literally, it's just so irritating. It's very irritating sound.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah. I must admit, I don't like it at all, because you're right. Yeah, it's like an animal squealing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I just thought, why has he had to go that way? That doesn't suit the style of the show. It doesn't suit Capaldi's interpretation of the Doctor, and it was painful. It was a real screech.
Yeah.
It's one of the many versions that I don't like. It sounded to me like it should be on one of those copycat albums of the 70s and 80s. You know,
I didn't mind the intro to it as much.
No,
it was very bits of. I mean, I didn't like it at all, but I preferred the intro bit where it was a little bit chimey and everything. But then it goes into it, and it's just like, no, you're right. Cat being mercilessly tortured. Yeah, having to watch Whittaker or something. It's the kind of noise the cat would make.
Well, it's interesting that that's the one that got through on our poll, isn't it? You know, the guitar version, the rock version, as it's called.
I'm surprised at 2000. You know, if there's a bunch of people like me who started off in 2005, I'm surprised the Murray Gold theme didn't make it. But
I must admit, I really, really was. So that's what happened. We had these, these were the results, you know, and as people were saying to me in the chat or on the community tab itself, JT, this is really cruel that we've got to choose between the Delia Derbyshire version and the Peter Howell version, but that's the way it rock and rolled, everybody. That was it. So, drum roll, please. I can tell you the winner of our poll of the bestest Telly theme tune in the world ever here on Who's Views. Last but not least, with 4% of the 158 votes for this for round 2, right, was Dominic Glynn from 1986. Second to last, with 7%, was the rock version from Murray Gold. In second place, with 22%.
God, he's dragging it out, isn't he?
Ooh. With 22%. In second place on the Who's Views bestest Telly theme tune in the world ever poll on our community tab. Thank you all so much for voting. In second place was Peter Howell for 1980 and 1985, which means that in number 1 with a massive 67%, 1967 to 1979, the Delia Derbyshire original version there. Wow, how fantastic. 67 to 79. This, well, it's the second version, isn't it, with a few bits and pieces, but congratulations, everybody. That's the one that our Who viewers voted as the best Telly theme tune in the world ever. That's the variant that everybody loved.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, it was a one-horse race.
I wish you could see that.
Yeah.
After all this time, vindication that she was an absolute musical goddess.
Yeah. It's going down really well as well, as it should do in the chat, because you guys voted for that. So thank you so much for everybody for voting in that, and I hope you had fun with it as well. No contest, says Domgo here as well. Big heart for Delia, says Problem Being. A masterpiece, says Domgo. All hail the wonderful Delia Derbyshire, says Paul Stenterford. Lots of claps there from Komodo. Also, Paleo Clive is saying Dee Dee should win. Without her, there'd be no theme. Well, she did. Stephen Braddock saying congratulations. So lots of people in there as well for the chat. So
I've heard rumours that it was actually put together by Rachel Reeves. Definitely.
It could be. And hashtag justice for Peter Howell. Paul Stenton. He did come second, 22%. He came second. That's pretty cool. I think he'd be happy that Delia won as well, because he did like it, didn't he?
Yeah, but I think that's a very clear illustration that Ron Grainer and Delia Derbyshire created something that is truly timeless.
Totally.
And it was groundbreaking at the time, right? Because I remember watching Adventures in Time and Space. I think the way that they did it with tape loops and
it
was oscillated. It was for the time, and the fact that it stood the test of time.
Yeah,
it shows that it is timeless, as you say.
I mean, she was cutting the master tape together literally note by note with a razor blade and sellotape.
It's totally it was absolutely incredible. I mean, because they had none of what they have today, and yet today they have all these wonderful gadgets and stuff, and managed to allegedly ruin it. Sheila and the devotions is with us. Delia deserved to win. It was a good marriage of ideas, says Peter Harrington. We've got a lot of that, and I just want to go back to that from the Lady Knightsbridge as well, that comment there. Also from Dalek Eye, a brilliant show tonight, everyone. Really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. I'm glad you did. And the Lady Knightsbridge saying to us, I can't think of any other TV show whose theme tune could be talked about with such affection for 2 hours as you guys have done this evening. Brilliant. Well, thank you for that, Lady Knightsbridge. Really appreciate that. I've certainly enjoyed myself. I hope you guys have enjoyed yourself.
Oh, very much so.
Definitely.
We've been celebrating tonight here on Who's Views 61 years of the Doctor Who theme, the bestest Telly theme tune in the world ever. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the first of 3 shows we've got which look at the past, the present, and the future of Doctor Who. We'll be back tomorrow here on the channel, live at 8, with our fabulous, I hope, another chat. Anniversary legends. Yes, the actual anniversary itself tomorrow, the 23rd of November. We're going to be here looking at how the anniversaries were celebrated in the past. So come and join us for what hopefully will be a lively show tomorrow. And then on Sunday, at 8 o'clock, we are, of course, back looking at the future of Doctor Who as well as the present in headlines. Mm-hmm. To third Dr. Ian, to George, to Emilio, and of course to Michael, thank you so much for joining me.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Great to see you as ever. And to you guys in the chat, don't forget to please like the video. That really, really helps. So give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. If you're new to us, welcome. Nice to see you. And if you have already subscribed to us, as ever, please continue to check that you're still subscribed. whosviews1@gmail.com is the email to get in touch with us. We'll be back tomorrow, 23rd of November, live at 8. Until then, have a great weekend, everybody. Whatever you're doing, we'll see you then. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.